The hole at this point is actually so big that it's out of my render distance. And it's still growing too, I gotta keep that in mind. I keep thinking we're done, but it's getting bigger and bigger. Believe it or not, this was done with one single bomb. And it's not even the biggest one we have to play with today, which is actually really great for us because this one didn't quite make it to the surface. So I thought it would be fun to take Minecraft and push it to its absolute limit, and then even a little bit further. And I've got the computer to do it with. I've already given it 18 gigs of memory to work with, which means that without any extra mods like Optifine or anything, we're getting a little over 600 frames per second. That is so long as I'm not doing something like this. Setting these off is probably going to drop the frame rate quite a bit. In case you're wondering, that's a little over 15,000 blocks of dynamite. I just want to set these off now to give you some scale of reference for all the things we're going to do today. So with a simple touch here, these will all set off in glorious fashion. Now obviously this will drop the frame rate, it's not going to be the prettiest thing in the world, but they will set off without too much issue for my computer or the game. While also making a decent sized crater in the ground, but not really that big. And the unpleasant part of setting off this many TNTs at once is the sound effects and animation keep going on long after the TNT have disappeared. So the game isn't super happy right now. We're down to 8 frames per second, but it's still running. 8 frames per second, 5 frames per second is okay. And at this point, we'll jump right back up. And this is what setting off 15,000 TNTs did to the world. And believe it or not, we actually have a survivor from the local village. Maybe even a few of them bouncing around in here. I hadn't even noticed. Now, let's get to some of the good stuff. This is a regular block of TNT, nothing special. This over here is DFT. It makes an explosion 10 times bigger than regular TNT. For some comparison, we'll set off the TNT and note the size of the crater. Nothing special, we've all seen that one before. Whereas the DFT, unfortunately for the local wildlife, makes a little bit of a bigger crater. Well, it was enough to kill one of the cows. Luckily for us, we still have some bigger bombs. But before we get to those, let's see the effect DFT has on some of our majestic locals. He was smart to walk away when he did. I think we'll go with maybe just 5 and kind of see how that goes from here. Now if we take a few steps back, that should take care of most of everything around there. The animations, you start to see them a little bit, they start to fade away, but you get the point. It makes a really big explosion, and that's only the first upgraded bomb. There's still 4 bigger ones. Now we just need to find a suitable spot to continue our experiments. And in case you're wondering about some of the other items in my inventory, well, we have the coffee. That actually makes me move faster because I'm really impatient. That way I can fly around and find what I need to find in a big hurry. And actually, as far as I know, there's no limit to how much of this I can drink, so let's turn into Superman for a second and see what happens if we fly around the world in an instant. I'm not really sure what the multiplier on these are. I think it's 50% faster every time, something like that. I know drinking like 5 makes me too fast to control, and I've drinking about 50 so far, so we're gonna let this go for another minute. Okay, I expect one unhappy game. I'm gonna take one step in this direction. And the game crashed. All I did was tap that W key, just couldn't handle it. Shockingly, the game didn't like to jump the light speed, so I had to reload. Oops. So maybe I forgot to turn the speed down again and crash the game one more time. But enough of the boring stuff, let's get on to more of the exciting bombs, which actually mix very well with sheep. So we have regular TNT, regular DFT, and then DFT 100, which means it's 100 times more powerful than the basic TNT. So there was the basic, there was the upgraded, pretty big crater. Now we'll set this guy off and compare the crater compared to that one. The game starts to get a little bit screwy at this point, so it's anyone's guess what's going to happen anytime we set one of these off. It always seems to have slightly different effects. This one's definitely delayed. There goes the sheep, and that's how big the explosion is. Sometimes it goes backwards like that, but that was the 3rd bomb on our list. We've got bigger ones still. But maybe as a fun experiment, we could stuff some DFT 100 into a mountain to see how much of the mountain it destroys. Because setting them off on the surface is great and all, but it really only shows one direction of explosion. If I put one down here, it's going to show all directions. At least I think it will. We'll find out pretty shortly. I did not get to move out in time to really catch the devastation, but I think you can visualize from there. It was pretty big. I want to see if I can destroy an entire village of people with one of those. And yeah, I'm going to start with the coffee again, just to make this a little bit faster to go and find things. The sushi next to it actually undoes the effect of the coffee one at a time, so I can balance myself back out. Looks pretty straightforward. Got some buildings, some people in the buildings. The center of it is probably right about down here, so we'll call it right. I'm thinking right here, and then we'll throw one of the DFT 100s in there, and off it goes. We'll step back a bit so we can see the full effect of this. It seems to lag just a little bit when there's people involved, probably because it has a few more things to think about, but I think it pretty well took care of the village. The explosion all went that way. There's a few survivors, kind of half a building left. We need bigger bombs. And because I like to be thorough, we're going to finish off this place with 100 DFTs laid on the ground, which is going to be the same explosive power as the DFT 100, but these are going to spread out because they're going to go flying everywhere as soon as they start to go off, which will make a really big explosion. Plus it's fun to watch these ones fly around and explode everything around. Well, blocks are getting up high. Wonder how fast or far we could launch something. That's another experiment. That made a pretty good crater. I think we finished off the village. Let's drop one of our big bombs right in the middle of this island to see if it destroys it, which makes for DFT 1000. That's right, 1000 times bigger than a regular TNT. So let's set this one off. This is by far the biggest one we've set off so far. It's gonna take a second to catch up with itself. Not sure what the water's gonna do to it. Oh, there it goes. I just heard the sound. Well, the island is mostly gone. It took out a bunch of this stuff over that way too. The explosion must have gone that way, mostly out to water. Well, that's kind of a strange, odd effect. This was more so what I was looking for. We'll go ahead and plant one of our big bombs right in the middle of this. Good afternoon, sir. Please go about your business. I won't be long. But since I can't aim these really, I'm going to put 2 down in the hopes that it blows one over there and then kind of blows back this way. I don't really know what's going to happen here. I've never set 2 of these off at once. Now, you can tell everything's working when everything freezes. The game doesn't know what to do. The horses can't move, the people can't move because it's trying to set off nuclear explosions. There it goes. Oh, it all went that way. I don't know where the second bomb went, if it just kind of exploded in the same way or just kind of evaporated. So we got, well, let's call that an even half the village maybe? Well, we got that little bit too. But the explosion went all out that way, and look how big it is. Oh, we're still not rendering new stuff in, so clearly the second bomb is waiting to go off still. We are getting lots of floating people, so I'm breaking things pretty adequately. Oh, okay, we're back. Which is bad news for you, because I can't put TNT down without exploding it. Oh, that might not actually help things very much. That's actually blowing up without much issue. Did the second bomb just go off? I feel like it did. I feel like my hole got a lot deeper because the second bomb kind of coincidentally went off. Yeah, it must have, because there used to be a little villager house thing here. So let's put a DFT inside a mountain to see how much of the mountain it blows up. It'll be 10 times bigger than the last one. Do we think this is an adequate sized mountain? I feel like it probably is. We'll tunnel into the center of it and put down some DFT 1000. I'm picturing the middle of the mountain being somewhere right down in there, so we'll tunnel in for a little while and just see what happens. One thing that I have discovered with my experiments is that the bombs actually go off better underground, probably because it's just solid blocks around it and the game knows what to do with it. I really didn't want to have to get too complicated with this. I like simple ideas. There we go, you gotta be real close. Well, now we get the close-up view anyway. That's fine. I hear an explosion. Whoa, there we go. Dropped a few frames there, and that's how big that was. We didn't get all of the mountain, but we did get pretty much the rest of the world. And to think, our biggest bomb is only 1000 times bigger than this one. So maybe the trick to destroying these villages would be to put the bomb under it. So good news for you guys, I'm gonna get this right the first time. Conveniently, there's already a pretty good sized cavern underneath, but the village is somewhere above me, so let's just tunnel in a little bit. Approximately straight above me is the village. We'll hopefully set that off, and up the hole we go. The only question from here is, will we hear the sound of the explosion before we see it this time, because we're so far away? Well, I heard it. Yep, there we go. I was off by a little bit, but it still had a pretty good effect. Now, one thing I've really been wanting to try was creating something of a cannon. So what I was envisioning was basically digging a hole down for, I don't know, 10 spaces, creating basically the barrel of the cannon, and then filling it up maybe 5 spaces with the DFT, which is the gunpowder. Now we just need ammunition. What do you think we should use for ammunition? If you said villagers, you're absolutely right. Well, we get a few of them in there. Well, we can get quite a few. And we have one up here too, but he can be what's probably going to be the only survivor. So here's the trick. I've got to set this off, rise up into the air, and we'll watch him spout out. Ready, and go. Now watch him fly. Nope, they mostly just died in horrific fashion. But you know what? Since we've got such a nice big hole here anyway, I've got an idea. Let's see if we can fill it up with DFT and then set it off without the game dying. And I wasn't kidding when I said fill the hole with DFT. Anyone want to take a guess as to how many DFTs we're going to be able to fit in this hole, given that there's already this many and we gotta go that high? Good news though, I've only got that many more layers to get through before we're at ground level again. And just like that, we're done. It's like there was never even a giant hole there at all. And to be honest with you, if I had realized exactly how many blocks this was going to be, I wouldn't have done that. That took a long time. So I just want to take a moment to reflect on my stupidity here before I try and set this off, because it's probably just going to crash the game anyway, so that was an effort well wasted. Alright, well, let's see how this goes. The game might actually be okay with it. It might just be a little slow. We'll take a step back and watch it unfold. This is the easy part. The hard part was setting them all down. You kind of see the pattern it goes in, but the game is not going to like this one bit. It's still making sounds. We're getting a frame every 10 seconds or so, so it is progressing. Very, very slowly. Yeah, there it goes. It picked up a little bit. Actually, it's going way faster than I thought. I'm going to see all my handiwork already. The sound of explosions and the animations are going to be going for like 30 minutes after this. I'm going to have to take a while for them to actually get through this. But on the bright side, my hole should be bigger by the time these are all done. I don't know why I ever thought this was a good idea. It's been about 5 minutes. We're making progress, but we still have a ways to go. Every once in a while it quiets down and I think it's done, but we're at 2 frames per second and there's still more bombs to go. Oh, I think it's finally done. The hole got a little bit bigger. No, we're not done yet. But we've got to be getting closer to done. Look how big this hole is. Got so much bigger, so many bombs. We should fill this one with TNT now. I don't think the game likes what I did. It's not rendering any more of the map in. There's water floating in air. Things are still, yeah, we're still playing catch up. Well, this definitely kind of gives things a cool effect. You can see where the water and lava used to be spawning and sitting. Once the explosions catch up, I imagine it's all going to fall down to the floor. Until then, no. Cool effect. And the best part is, we've still got bigger bombs that can probably do this within one bomb. One bomb might even be bigger than this. We'll find out. The hole at this point is actually so big that it's out of my render distance. And it's still growing too, I gotta keep that in mind. I keep thinking we're done, but it's getting bigger and bigger. The exploding part might actually take longer than it took to fill the damn hole with bombs. This is still going on. By the end of this, I think this entire chunk of map is just gonna be gone. Well, I wanted to do things on a colossal scale, so I guess I've already accomplished that. Even flying around outside the perimeter of the hole, there's like stuff flying by and explosions way out here. Like, I can't escape it. It's just growing and growing. It's gonna consume the whole world. That is one big hole. I had no idea it was gonna go this big. I figured it would be big, but I didn't realize exactly how big. But in saying that, the game handled that actually pretty well, so we could potentially do it a lot bigger. I just need to sort of work out how far away I need to go before I get a clean area that hasn't been touched by bombs yet. Right here seems nice. Alright, for these, I think we're gonna have to go underground to do it. I haven't yet been able to make one detonate on the surface. I think there's too much stuff it has to deal with. Eventually I might get one to work, but it's gonna take some time. We'll take this one way underground. So right about there. For the first time, we have DFT 10,000. That's 10,000 times the size of regular TNT. And go. Now, it's going to disappear first. Don't be alarmed. It will come back. It's just the game kind of trying to process everything going on right now because it's making a big explosion. So that means I basically wait here until I hear the sound of explosion, and then we'll see exactly what disappears. Oh, that was actually really quick. I didn't expect that to work so well. Awesome, we made it all the way to daylight, and there's bedrock not far below me. So that was one bomb. We still have one bigger, but that was still a pretty damn big explosion. I really like the way that worked out. It looks like just a hole in the ground, but it's really a massive bomb explosion. I've laid down some DFT 1000 right there in that hole, waiting to see if it actually goes off or not. Because it's on a surface that likes to be difficult, I just wanted to kind of open up our hole so we could see it in all its glory. I hear a bomb going off. Alright, well, that kind of worked. Well, you can see down into the big gaping hole. Well, since this one actually worked really well and went off without a hitch, let's try the biggest one of all. TFT 100,000. 100,000 times bigger than regular TNT. We'll go plant it somewhere underground way over here and see if we can get it to go off. I think that's probably far enough away where the two holes won't conflict with each other. Even if they do, not the end of the world. Alright, interestingly enough, as soon as I set that down, my computer had a little bit of a freakout / meltdown. If the computer melts, the computer melts. Let's see what that does. It's not even making any sound. That's not a promising start. Well, as you could probably tell, that didn't work. I waited and the bomb didn't go off. So we're going to try it somewhere a little bit different. And this is our new spot. Still don't know what areas these bombs like or don't like, but I'm hoping this one likes this spot. I heard it. It's going off. There we go. Oh, the squids are falling down along with the ocean. So, yep, I guess it was under the ocean. But there you go. That's what happens when you detonate a bomb 100,000 times the size of TNT. Under the ocean, apparently. We have a big, hole in the ocean now. You can kind of get a view of it when you kind of move around. You see the edges of it, but we'll try and do that where it's not under the water. That way we can really appreciate the gapingness. And one more time, let's do it. These big bombs really don't want to go off. And I'm wondering if maybe water is the key to doing that, because the bombs don't seem to have much effect on water. Or we're going to drill a hole down right here and detonate under the water again. Let's do it. It's going off. I can hear it. Oh, yep, there it is. Okay. The ocean's gonna come down shortly, but there it is. 100,000 times regular TNT creates a hole this big, and then the ocean eats it. Pretty big hole though. You know, I am in a way a little bit disappointed that my computer didn't completely melt. But that's where you guys can help me. If it's not melted within the next 4 months, you guys didn't give me enough ideas and let me down entirely.